Town Hall Academy, episode 83.
I think your outstanding guy is a complete package. I think he's a healthy individual who has confidence in what he does. He's not afraid to share that knowledge. His confidence gives him the ability to help others grow without feeling threatened by it.
Welcome, automotive aftermarketers, to a Remarkable Results Radio Town Hall Academy. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results.
Hello and welcome to the Aftermarket's Town Hall Academy. The panel today shares their perspective on the qualities of outstanding technicians. Carm, Capriotto, and glad you're here using your favorite podcast listening app as your mobile to listen to these long-form aftermarket interviews. Find so many ways to listen while you are mobile at remarkableresults.biz/app. Your content catalog has over 400 episodes. So if you're new to the Aftermarket's premier podcast, use the category filter and or the tag cloud found on my website to focus on specific themes and topics. Find the episode you want to listen to and then go mobile and then find that episode. I want to thank Jasper Engines and Transmissions for making the Town Hall Academy free for all aftermarketers. If you're a loyal Jasper customer, you know the answer to this question. So why purchase a Jasper quality remanufactured product? You'll find out it's their people. A Jasper associate is dedicated to high-quality customer service, committed to excellence, professional, and has pride of ownership as part of a 100% associate-owned company. Find out more at jasperengines.com. With me for this academy is Matt Fanslow, shop manager, diagnostician, and trainer at Riverside Automotive in Red Wing, Minnesota. Wayne Jerry Bishop, PTS instructor for Standard Motor Products and BWD. And Kevin Eckler, shop owner, foreign car specialists in Poughkeepsie, New York. Listen in on a great dialogue that covers qualities and attributes like passion, precision, pride, perseverance, and humility. This episode is not about being an A, B, or C tech. It is all about other traits that make for an outstanding technician. This discussion relates to just about any other job in a professional service center today. Find the talking points, bios, and links to the panel's previous episodes at remarkableresults.biz/A083. Now, let's listen to an outstanding Town Hall Academy. So, Matt, what's the cold, hard reality of why we're talking about this topic?
I think we're in dire need of them, or more of them, is probably the main reason. And then also these academies over time that your groups put together is we're talking about cultures and we're talking about career pathing. And I think the road to being an outstanding technician is most definitely a career path.
It's so right. In fact, I'm doing a town hall at Apex this year on that exact topic. We are at a critical, what I believe is a really critical moment in this industry where, we're really worried about business acumen from owners. But I really think the technician stands side by side in that journey and the commitment that's necessary. Guys, I know your talking points. Let's dive in. Kevin, let's get into, some of the qualities that you feel are necessary, having been a tech yourself.
I think that being an outstanding tech requires having a strong amount of balance in your life. You need to know what you're doing. You need to train. You also need to be grounded. You need to make sure you have personal time to not burn out and become overwhelmed. So I think balance is one of the important things. It keeps you with the burning desire to be excellent at what you're doing without getting fed up with it and frustrated and overwhelmed. So I think balance is kind of a key part in that. I think also that the outstanding techs are the guys that kind of lead in the shop. They help develop that culture of growth. They not only figure out the hard problems or take on work that others may not want to, but they show the others in the shop how to take that path, how to think in that process, how to have a good discerning way of diagnosing and discovering without just rushing in and creating a disaster. An outstanding tech will show a younger guy or know how to get something loose or apart rather than snapping it off and trying to figure out how to fix it afterwards. So they'll have patience and understanding, and they'll have a good discernment. So they'll know a pathway that they can take quickly without wasting a lot of time running in circles. and they'll have the desire to show and share that knowledge rather than hoarding it to themselves so that they're the superstar and everybody else is just kind of on their coattails.
Wayne, you're smiling.
Carm, before I was a trainer, I was a tech for 26 years. And I worked in little 2-bay hole in the walls. I worked in 26-bay Taj Mahals too. And I know exactly what Kevin is talking about. I've seen that one technician who thought he knew everything. And if he shared anything, that he'd be giving something away. But to elaborate a little bit of what he was saying, a good technician is more than just a good automotive technician. He's a good person. He's a good soul. He's a good citizen. And I think that comes in maturity. And a lot of the young guys, don't have that yet, especially when you start in the shop and you're a flat rate technician. Everything's about hurry, 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 hurry. And, damn the consequences of how I got there. And it takes a while, not only to accumulate knowledge, what you're doing, but to have, a level of confidence of what you're doing where you can share and you can, mentor, apprentice technicians and stuff like that, but you don't get overwhelmed by the time clock. One thing that's happened to me since I've slowed down and become a trainer, time has kind of slowed down for me. And, when I go to somebody's shop, I'm not pressured by the hurry, 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 these guys have. And I think sometimes that weighs on, the way they act. But I'm sticking with Kevin here. I think you got to be a good soul, a good person, and that doesn't come early. You have to achieve that over time. It's like wisdom. You just don't get that when you're 18 years old right out of high school.
So we need patience.
Absolutely.
Listen, let's try to separate this out. There are 30-year techs out there, and there are ones that are just starting out. And maybe, and I love what you said, Wayne, you really are saying, hey, listen, it takes time to get to a certain level, but it also takes a certain quality of person.
Yep.
And so while we're talking, maybe we can, help some of the really good techs that may be struggling with some soft skills.
I listened to some of your podcasts last night, Carm. I was driving through the panhandle of Florida, and I burned through probably 9 of them on my 9-pot. And I heard you talk about soft skills, and somebody was talking about technicians who roll out of bed and, with a Red Bull and a cigarette showing up for work. And, they're just, a rough kind of guy. But, I worked at a dealership one time. It was AutoNation USA mega store. And it was 28 bays. And we had 3 teams. We had so many technicians, they couldn't all work at one time that somebody had to be off, to share the shop. And we had, like I said, 28 bays. And there was all levels of guys going through there, but they couldn't acquire top level technicians anywhere. Now, this was 15, 16 years ago. And I think now the crunch has got even worse, that those good level technicians just aren't out there. So they would hire oil changers because they were a dime a dozen. And they'd give them 3 months on the oil change rack, and they could kind of see what kind of person they'd be just by showing up to change oil and, who would actually put an oil filter on. I mean, our oil change rack had an assortment of filters, and they were unashamed of it. If the oil filter was too hot or they couldn't get to it, it never got changed. And I'm embarrassed to say that, but I guess that's how we picked our guy, because he came to work, he showed up, he was clean. He took a shower that morning, he brushed his teeth, he was well-mannered, tucked his shirt in. And if he could hang out there in that oil change rack for 6 months or a year, we'd bring him up into the shop and try to make him a C-level technician.
I have a concern that the association between outstanding is being equated to like an A tech, and we can absolutely have an outstanding technician that's a C tech, a B tech, an A tech.
Absolutely.
They can increase their skill levels, but they can still be very much an outstanding employee, outstanding technician.
Thanks for breaking that code, Matt. I mean, that's the point I think we want to get across here. We're not talking about competency levels at this moment. I think we're really talking about is, quality stock.
Mm-hmm. One of the best technicians I had was my apprentice. I'm again talking about AutoNation. I was a lead tech on my team, and I had 3, line technicians who worked on, commission. And we had a young buck come up to that oil change, and he was a good soul, a good boy, and I wish I could have kept up with them over the years, but that's how you find them. They have to be good people inside, and want to work and are glad to show up.
We talk a lot on the show about taking a grad from a post-secondary and throwing him out on the lube bay for a while and breaking him, just breaking him. I want to separate what you just said, Wayne. You're talking about an inexperienced individual on a lube rack, not a post-secondary grad, are you?
Oh, we've all heard that story, Carm, where a guy comes out of tech school and they give him an oil change and he's busting his, butt trying to take an oil plug out, but he's going the wrong way. And a snap-on ratchet says on and off on there already,
Part of our problem is we realize we don't have a career path designed, and we throw the guy and forget about it. We've checked the box, we've filled a slot, and I think we all need to be careful of that. And I think that's part of where our discussion is going. How do we?
We're kind of hypocrites about that. We're kind of hypocrites because we'll market to the public how complex these vehicles are, but now some freshie comes out of 2-year school and we throw them on a task and expect them to be competent.
Well, I think that's where your outstanding guy comes in.
Yes.
I think that your outstanding guy sees the potential and helps grow and foster that in them, because they don't have to have the immediate knowledge, but they have to have the desire to learn and the basic mechanical aptitudes to be able to complete the task. And you're right, the outstanding guy doesn't have to be the lead guy. He could just be somebody that's in the shop that has a very calming presence about them, or just a confidence that hey, I don't know everything, but I know how to do this, and let me show you what I do know. And hey, let's grow this together. They help promote the positive culture, and it's one of the reasons why I'm independent versus the times that I spent in the dealership. There were guys that were talented, but there was a culture of chaos. And I think your outstanding guys show up, in my opinion, in the independent area, and that they have, in the right atmospheres, the ability to really foster a positive kind of growing, learning environment, and they can shine in their personalities rather than just being pushed into a machine process, chaos, self-survival kind of environment.
If your customer has a vehicle they like, they shouldn't have to get rid of it because the engine, transmission, or differential failed. Because you and your customer know the vehicle maintenance, there's no reason they can't keep it on the road. Depreciation, license, insurance, interest, add them all up, and they'll probably total more than it would cost to install a remanufactured product from Jasper Engines and Transmissions. Personal finances only go so far. Daily living expenses, college for the kids, and, as we all hope, retirement. So before your customer rushes out to buy a new or a newer used vehicle because their engine or transmission has failed, contact Jasper and find out how a remanufactured product from Jasper Engines and Transmissions can extend the life of your customer's present vehicle for an amount much less than the higher expenses that come with a vehicle trade. Give their vehicle a new lease on life with Jasper. Don't we want outstanding technicians to look for outstanding shops to work for?
They're going to have to.
Well, they'll find it. Because an outstanding technician, he wants an outstanding place to work at.
Yeah.
As part of his total package, he wants pay, he wants prestige, and he wants a place to work at.
I love it. Everybody's dropping these P words, and here's what I'd love to do. I'll have to tell you, the talking points from everyone included all these P words: passion, precision, pride, perseverance, penitence, pondering, proactivity. Let's just define the outstanding technician, and let's just take the word passion, guys. What kind of passion do we need to work for and be an outstanding technician?
You got to have a fire in your belly. I mean, I think that's why passion keeps being brought up, is you have to have that fire in your belly to be outstanding, or to reach a high skill level on whatever task you're doing. And it's not limited to auto repair. We're just in that industry, and that's why we're talking about it. But you have to have that fire in your belly to every day show up, do your best, take away, every lesson. Hopefully there's another outstanding tech there to guide you, and, mouth shut, ears open. And, that passion just spills over, not just to the task at hand, but on the way home, thinking about the day. Could I have done this better? Yes, I fixed this car. I fixed it under the time. It was a good repair, but could I have done it better? Could I have figured this car out a little bit faster? Did I have to do this test? Should I have done this test? Analyzing, being a little analytical or critical, I think is very, very important. I think that's maybe one of the big things that separates a, outstanding tech from I think that criticism or being critical of yourself is a huge difference between the outstanding tech and the others.
Yeah, pride goes a long way too, Carm. Kind of chime in on what Matt said. I did a lot of diagnostic work, and sometimes you didn't make as much money. You didn't get paid for the time you spent, but at the end of the day, you fixed it. And I think a lot of guys at that level, they like the fact they repaired a car nobody else could fix. Sure. And that goes a long way because they wanted to fix it, and they did, and they succeeded.
I had pride in my list, I think, and that's a really good angle. The angle I was taking when I wrote it down was pride in your workmanship. Mm-hmm. That car's not leaving until it's done right, and caring about your quality of work. That kind of pride, because that spills over everywhere. That's a business builder. When everybody takes pride in what they're doing, that benefits everybody under that roof.
Pride goes a long way in having a zero comeback rule, wouldn't it?
It does.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, even when I teach classes, the simple concept of verifying your repair. Sometimes you see a broken part and it's obvious, but did you go ahead and test it anyway when you got done? And things like that go a long way. And that's what a good technician will do. He'll spend an extra 15, 20 minutes and know that he's fixed it. He knows he's repaired it. We don't often test drive a car, post repair, but sometimes it's a deed that's well served when you do it.
Kevin, did pride go a long way in your career as a technician?
I think it did in a point, but it also has to be balanced with humility. I think that you have to be humble enough to not be arrogant. You have to be confident in what you do. Yeah, when you're successful, it helps you build confidence in what you're doing. And each time you're successful and you learn different paths and different processes, it definitely helps building confidence, and you feel proud of the work that you do. And I think that it's very good to be proud of putting forth the effort and accomplishing, but you need to not become arrogant in that, because when you become arrogant, you destroy the culture and you stop the growth of other people. Compared to gaining the knowledge and being humble enough to share it.
Well, humility comes with wisdom too, and you get that over time. When I was a young buck, I was a knucklehead. You couldn't tell me nothing, but I didn't get that way till I was probably in my 40s, and I realized I'm a humble man, and it changes. That's something that comes with maturity.
And not to take this off track, but I just want to mention that while we're talking about this and continue this path of discussion, think about the outstanding shop and the not outstanding shop. The outstanding shop is going to promote this type of a environment that we're discussing. The not outstanding shop is going to drive these outstanding techs out.
Yeah.
It's not quantum physics.
Well, we all say there's a shortage in techs. Create and foster an environment where they're drawn to it instead of driving them away.
I love your words, guys. Precision. Does precision come into as a great adjective for an outstanding tech?
It sure does.
Yeah, you want to be accurate, in everything you do. And that kind of ties in with pride a little bit.
Yeah.
But you want to be precise on what you're doing. You want things to leave the right way, bolts torqued, stuff aligned the way it's supposed to be aligned, or your diagnostic routine is leading you to the root cause in a, reasonably efficient manner, and being accurate, being right. So I think precision is a very, very important thing to possess and to strive for. Maybe more important to strive for, especially if you're starting on your way, progressing.
You're always trying to achieve higher and higher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You take that down to like no fingerprints on the fenders and no big greasy footprints on the mats too.
Yes.
They pay attention to the little details that know that those things matter, because a great fix and a greasy floor will probably not return a customer.
You're right. You're right, Kevin. That's one of the things I learned a long time ago. Customers don't beat you up because you didn't fix the car. They beat you up because there's grease on my steering wheel.
Yeah.
And I kept a bottle of all-purpose cleaner hanging off my buggy, just because of stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's always little things they remind you of.
I have to tell you, I love the correlation that you're building. Outstanding shop, outstanding tech. I love the correlation, because if we were trying to create an uncopyable experience for the customer, it drives from that walk in the door to the wrench that's selected to do the job right?
Let me give you this relation. I'm in Disney World right now. It is not a cheap vacation. Why am I here? Because everybody here is friendly. They treat you like you're welcome and you belong. They create an atmosphere where you have the best possible experience. So people line up and wait for hours to hand them all their money because it is the best experience that they can provide for you. Are we providing that for our techs, and are we providing that for our customers? I often look back and use Disney as my model as to, are we doing that same kind of thing? Because that business model really works in so many avenues in life. And here I am, living that proof. So, yeah.
And there's a lot of honesty involved there, right? That
absolutely.
Looking yourself in the mirror as a manager, as an owner, looking yourself in the mirror as a technician. Am I even putting myself in a position to be outstanding at what I do? And as a owner manager, am I creating an environment that actually promotes having multiple outstanding technicians?
Yeah. Am I leading in such a way where I'm doing a halfway kind of job, but expecting my guys to give everything that they have and be outstanding, but I'm not? Or am I really trying to set that? You're absolutely right. You need to be in where good enough isn't. It can't be good enough. It has to be the best that it can be.
Can we create outstanding technicians by doing some really good, sincere, quarterly personal reviews?
Yeah.
You can't create one, but you can promote a tech wanting to become one.
I'll change my word.
I'm twisting your words a little.
We can help groom a person in any position, really. Outstanding service advisor, writer, shop manager, it doesn't matter. But that, as the owner of a shop, if we have an outstanding shop and we're trying to groom outstanding people, and the whole twist on the word outstanding technicians, fill in the blank, technicians or whatever. How do we create outstanding? Because the things that we're talking about today, passion, precision, pride, perseverance, proactivity, that works for everybody. It works for me and my job, Wayne, you and yours, Kevin, you as the CEO of your business.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to hand slap you on that. But it's very important.
Oh, I get it. No,
yeah.
I totally get it, man. Thank you. We always work so well together. Sometimes I yin and you help me yang.
I mean, your goals are no good if you don't have a process or a way to measure them. How do your guys know if they're on their right path, if they're headed towards outstanding, if they're going the right direction, if you aren't in contact with them, whether it's weekly meetings or just coming up alongside your guy going, hey, that was a great repair, or did you think about doing it this way next time? So the goals are great, but you need to have measurements along the way so they know that they're on the right pathway and they're growing the right direction. So I agree with that. It's very important.
So I've done some interviews, and some of the younger techs that are out there in the industry say, "Yeah, I know this couple of cars coming in tomorrow. I know we've got some really big issues going on. There's an area that I'm not quite sure of, and when I go home, I do some research. Is it really that necessary to be an outstanding technician to do that?
Goes along with the passion. If you care about it. I mean, you need to have a balance so you have kind of personal time to keep your head clear. But yeah, absolutely. If you got something going on, learn about it.
Do you miss being in the bays as much as you were, Kevin?
I'm still in the bays a lot.
You are?
Yeah. Oh. I'm in the bays. Lisa Kate takes care of the front, and I'm mostly overseeing and working and keeping things going in that direction.
So let me put you on the spot, man.
Go right ahead.
Are you building outstanding people, technicians?
I am trying as best as I can, and I think I've got a real solid group of guys. I have guys that want to be good at what they do, and I think it's really important to say, "Hey, you're doing great with this. You did fantastic with this." Or sometimes it's, "Hey, let's try it this way next time." Or, I try to encourage them to go where they can go. Every now and then, I don't respond so quickly to give them the impetus to kind of push themselves a little bit. But it's never shutting somebody off. It's always we work as a team for the better good. Okay,
so let me give you another trick question.
Go right ahead.
It's not about their competency right now. It's about their people skills and all the things we're talking about. Think of think of one of your techs. Give us one idea of something that individual needs to work on. Don't give me a name, just out of all the P words we've been talking about.
That's tough trying to pick them down because they've got really good skill sets.
Okay. Passion, precision, perseverance.
We have a detail guy on staff, and he makes sure everything's washed, waxed, and clean when it goes through. And he's working in the bays right now because he wants to be a tech. So he's learning stuff. He's picking up online training classes. He goes to training with us. He's, I'm providing a tool set to do stuff with. He's growing. I've got a younger guy that he's following along the same kind of path as I did when I was younger. He started out just with a lot of knowledge and passion, and he's gaining skill along the way. I've got a gentleman that's closer to my age that's pretty well refined and is just, advancing himself in scope abilities and higher level diagnostics. So I can't really say, we all just kind of foster and feed off of each other. When one of the guys finds something that's really interesting or a good learning point, he kind of brings the other guys over and, hey, did you know this? And I found this, and this is why, and this is how it's going. I don't really focus on their weaknesses so much as encouraging their strengths. So it's not, I don't have on the forefront of my mind, boy, this guy really stinks at that and he's got to work better on that. So sorry, I don't have a great answer for you on that because we've all got our flaws, but they've got really great strengths. We could all use a little more patience every now and then. It happens, but it's not a tool throwing shop because that's not tolerated, and we don't thrash on each other. We're more like a family, I would say.
Wayne, you are in such an interesting position being out in front of so many outstanding technicians in your class. That's who you continue to see all the time, am I right?
Mostly because usually the outstanding technician is the one who wants to go to school, but then again, I have technicians who are forced to go to school. And I got, employees that are paid to go to my class, so they show up and eat barbecue and, turn their back on me too. So I still see quite often a mixed bag.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I like to think an excellent technician or outstanding technician, he's in my class every time I come show up. And they don't care what I'm teaching. They just come to class. It's considered a part of the job. Describe that person to me. He's generally a mature individual. He's probably already in his 40s by now, although occasionally I get some of the young bucks out there too. But they come to the point where they realize they don't know it all. And I use the expression sometimes that some technicians don't know what they don't know. And they just, like my sales force, will go out there and talk about a class coming up and they go, well, I already know how to work on Chevrolets because they think they're still working on 350 Chevrolets. They don't even understand what's underneath the hood of a late model car. But the ones who do show up, like I said, they do it because they want to, and they want to, bring up their game and increase their skill set. And almost all I teach is diagnostic, techniques and, how to read wiring diagrams and use service information and use a scan tool and, use your lab scope and your meter and everything more effectively instead of guessing and putting parts in a car. Because a lot of technicians became technicians. I'm a tech of the 70s. In 1979, I went to work the day after I graduated high school. And I worked in my daddy's shop for, the previous 2 years anyway. But if you have mechanical aptitude, you were a mechanic, because same with nuts and bolts. But I wanted to be an electrician. So I went to junior college and took industrial electricity and electronics. And little by little, cars started having electronic ignition and computer feedback and stuff like that. So I blended the two together and it helped. But can you imagine a young guy today, coming out to a shop and it's not just a little bit of electricity, it's a lot of electricity. So, these guys want to keep their skill set up. They want to understand new technology, and it's changing rapidly. You got cars that'll be, driving by themselves any day now. And it's a whole different frontier out there. The nuts and bolts guys are starting to fade away. And I've had some old timers just flat tell me there's enough timing belts and, brakes and water pumps. They don't have to worry about this anymore. Their time is, within sight. But this new generation of guys, they have to stay current. They want to stay current. And that's what's going to make them an outstanding technician. But again, you still got to be an outstanding person. You got to be a good soul on the inside, I think.
As you say, the face of the company. They've got to be able to wear a great face for the company.
Yeah, there's some technicians you don't want to you talk to customers. I worked in dealerships and independents, and in the dealership world, you could hide behind the wall if you wanted to, and you never had to face a customer. And probably one of the good things about an independent shop is everybody was friendly. And they'd come out there in the shop and talk to you while you worked on the car sometimes. But there are some boys at the dealership, you didn't really want them to come up there to the service aisle. And Lord help them, someone can't pick the phone up and talk reasonable and give an estimate and, a status update on the car.
We talked about work-life balance earlier. You all did. How will an outstanding technician learn to manage that? And does the shop foreman, the shop manager, or the owner, how much are they responsible to make that happen too?
I can tell you from my personal experience, my hobby was the same thing I did for a living for years and years. I worked on cars all day long, and when the shop closed, I worked on my own night after night after night. And I learned that you burn out to it, and you need a hobby separate from what you do every day for a living. So I try to share that knowledge with my guys. So I think some of that balance is going to come from the older guys that have learned the hard lessons and suffered failures and damages in their own life. And they're going to pass that on, hopefully, so that the younger guys don't repeat those. I wouldn't necessarily call them mistakes, but it's really easy to burn out when this is all you do 24 hours a day. So I think some of the burden is on us as older guys to share that with the younger guys to keep them on the right path.
That's why we play golf, right? Fish.
Yeah, it's kind of like a father figure. You take the younger guys up under your wing and you try to teach them the lessons in life that you've learned, both as far as skills of the trade and ways to keep your head clear. Because if your head is all muddled, you can't think clearly in the game the next day.
Wayne, you said something so interesting a little bit ago. You said 40-year-old. By the time maybe you get to be 40, you've got some humility, and it's so tough to learn that. But I have seen some, millennial, some, late 20, 30-somethings that have it.
There's always exceptions, Carm.
Where's that coming from? An early on commitment, a higher level of maturity at a young age?
Well, it could be. Everybody comes from different backgrounds, and there's no absolutes in life anywhere, and some people just are good souls right off the bat. They probably had excellent parenting and a good schools, and, maybe they were Christians, and they know the right path. They're good citizens, they're good souls, and they do it because they want to, not because they have to. And I'm not saying a good technician is not necessarily an outstanding technician. Certainly a shop can benefit from a good, solid, average technician, and it goes a long way to helping the shop out. But that outstanding technician has that little extra, something. And I don't think you get that when you're 22 years old. I was in my 20s one time too. I remember those days, and I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I mean, sure it can, but a lot of this comes with age and wisdom. And that's something you just can't get. You have to earn it.
How about assigning a mentor?
Mentor's great. Again, I'm going to relate my story of my apprentice that I had back at AutoNation many, many years ago. I never had a shop that gave me a chance to have an apprentice. I was a master. He come right out of oil change rack, and he was a good soul anyway. But those were 2 good years I had with that young man right there, because he wasn't freaked out by a flat rate. The shop was still paying him an hourly salary, so he didn't have the stress, and he could buy a few tools here and there, nothing special, but he had a few tools, and he of course used my tools most of the time. And if it starts out with just having him pull door panels off for me, and we could put a power window motor in, or he could button up something when I got done, or he'd put the scan tool on there and have the codes pulled for me, and he'd write them down on the back of the RO. That's little baby steps you had to take. And then when you got done, he'd be my official test drive guy, and he'd drive it for me and tell me what happened, and we would scan it one more time just to make sure. But most shops don't have that luxury. They don't, because in the small shops I worked at, it was just go, go, go. And I hate to say it, but sometimes it was dog eat dog too.
I kind of want to touch on something you said right in there, and that is that I think it's up to the shop owner to foster that kind of, in pay. If you're flat rating a guy, it's really hard for him to be outstanding, because you're pushing him away from being the best he can be to be the fastest. I think as shop owners, I think it's really important to have pay plans and incentives and such in place that give the guys something to strive for. They strive for being excellent rather than just fast, because
exactly.
Your customer base is going to grow as your guys become excellent and your work is excellent. And that's how a business is going to reap the benefits from that. And you're not going to just push a guy to a shortcut and cut corners and do other things.
Yep.
You promote him to be outstanding by creating a healthy pay, a great atmosphere, a good culture. So yeah, the flat rate guy, I don't know if you're going to, I might be completely wrong on this, but I don't know if you're going to get as many outstanding flat rate guys as you would guys that are incentivized or just paid very well for what they do.
I was going to say flat rate probably killed a lot of technicians' careers.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to incentive guys and reward them. And I think the younger guys really want to feel that they're an important part of something. They want to feel like they're contributing to things. So if they feel they're just, constantly getting beaten down or watching the older guys rack up clock hours while they get, whatever, that doesn't, or why would you take on something hard if you can bang all the brakes and the shocks out? Why would you be any better if you're just the parts replacement guy? We as owners need to foster that environment that creates the desire in these guys to be the best that they can be.
That could be a whole topic right there. He's absolutely right. And somebody even chatted on this little thing over here on the side about how flat rate's almost it's probably poison. It's not a good thing to our industry, but, and again, I'll use a dealership. After a while, you do the same repair over and over and over again. You can complete, but an independent shop, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, that's where your theories are more important than your practical knowledge on one particular thing. You might do a heater core on one thing and never see it again for another 4 years. So your practical knowledge and understanding the systems and the operations is more important than knowing exactly where each nut and bolt is. So flat rate helps with the knowing the nut, bolt, and the wrench size. But I think a good solid pay, a good encouragement comes from the guys understanding the operations and the theories in there, because it rewards them for knowing and understanding how things work, not just how fast you can bolt and unbolt a water pump in there.
I love the chatter. I'm actually trying to pay attention to our guys and follow it as completely as I can. But Shari Pheasant's on with us, and she is lighting up the chat board. Thank you, Shari. Matt, the value of networking in outstanding technicians.
Invaluable. It probably goes in hand in hand a little bit with the mentorship. Mm-hmm. Finding a mentor, and that's networking. The mentor may be in the shop with you. He may be at a different shop near you. He may, or she may be somebody you met at a training conference and who now you kind of strive to be like. Or more easily from a diagnostic standpoint, maybe I attend a Wayne Bishop class.
We lost you again, Matt.
Really?
Yeah. You guys must be doing a really big update in the shop or something.
Could be.
They're flashing a car. You don't realize what happened.
BMW. Yeah. Programming a BMW.
Must be knocking on the door, Matt. We got a problem out here.
But I love what you just said. Let me just challenge your thinking. Networking to develop a network or to create a network of, as you said, diagnostic challenges. But how about the soft skills and the people skills? Can a mentor bring that network in a network?
I absolutely. I think just networking with other technicians and getting their points of view, learning more about their environments, their approaches, not even just to the cars, to customers. It comes up, right? You networking, essentially you're befriending a certain group. And I'd like to toss in mentorship because of something a friend of ours said, Pete Landry, about mentorships. Maybe somebody you want to strive to be more like, where networking is maybe more, learning from one another.
That's
bits and pieces.
That's a great point. Has any of you ever had someone within your network and they say, listen, I got to talk to you. Something happened today with my service advisor and the customer, and I handled it wrong. It has nothing to do with a diagnostic issue, but it had to do with a personal issue and the behavior, if you will. Anything like that ever come across your desks?
Yeah, I think you're going to run into stuff like that. You can't, through the course of time, not have those situations. I think the benefit of those is being honest enough with yourself to admit that, hey, I didn't do that as well as I could have. And from my side, if you condemn your guy, he may not share it the next time. But if you come up alongside him and go, hey, I understand I've made mistakes myself. This is what I've learned from my situation. How about, how do you think we could do it better next time? What do you think we should try? Don't condemn them for their mistakes, because if you're honest with yourself and you're not being hypocritical, you've made them yourselves. So, encourage your guys to be better and work through it and talk through it. Kind of like whiteboarding it.
And not limiting your networking to just if you're a technician, limiting your networking to technicians.
True.
It's, I think, very wise to try to network with managers and shop owners, because maybe you do reach out to them. You maybe had a little knock them out, drag them out argument with your boss, and you're ranting and raving to this person you've met or befriended. And now they can say, hey, let's look at this from your boss's point of view. Maybe you're right, but let's look at it from his point of view or her point of view. Now, next day, or, maybe it's the weekend, you go in the following work day and sit down, and it's a whole different conversation because of a conversation you had with a friend that you networked with.
Yeah.
Allow me to be the devil's advocate for you. Right? I mean, that's healthy. Again, it goes back to what Wayne said earlier. If the humility is there, if you learn to be humble, and that every day is a learning curve and a learning moment for yourself, in your trek to be totally and completely outstanding. Wow, this was great. I'm going to give each of you a chance to speak to any of your talking points here at the end, but I'm happy with where this went, guys. I thank you for this great dialogue. So let's go around the room and give you each a chance to cover something that maybe you didn't in your talking points. Kevin, let me start with you. And by the way, thanks for taking such important family time at Frontier Village. Is that where you are?
It's Fort Wilderness.
Wilderness.
Yes, it's a big campground at Disney. Yeah, and I got to say, I talked to my kids before we did this, and they said, no, Dad, I think it's important that you do this. So it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to take off and do this. It was, we talked about it, and they felt it was important.
It was 3 weeks ago. Kevin said, hey, listen, I'm going to be at Disney, but let me check with the family. He got approval. Thank you.
And I appreciate them for understanding and respecting what I do. On that line, I think good communication, honesty, that's where the balance in life comes in, because my family they keep my desire within me. They keep the passion going to excel at work. If I excel at work and I excel at what I do, I can take good care of my family. I don't come home frustrated and angry, annoyed, where I see them and I vent, but I come home and I'm happy to see them. I may take time off to research and do different things, but they're kind of they're my grounding point where I keep myself solid. I refresh myself. And I think that's really important. It helps me want to do the best that I can do, to be the best that I am. And if I have a healthy family life, I kind of promote that family atmosphere at the shop, where the guys feel safe to talk to each other, where you can excel and you encourage each other rather than you're frustrated and you're looking to pick down on each other. Like, oh, you did this wrong. You did that bad. I don't like this. It's more like, hey, you did a great job with this. You can look at it from two different angles, and you can help the guys grow and foster, and you can build that desire within them to be the best that they can be. I think your outstanding guy is a complete package. I think he's a healthy individual who has confidence in what he does. He's not afraid to share that knowledge. His confidence gives him the ability to help others grow without feeling threatened by it. And I think he contributes all the way around in the shop. He's not just a good tech. You're right. He's a great citizen. He's a great person inside. He helps other people maybe when they're feeling off balance or they're having a bad day. He comes alongside them and helps them see the bigger picture, not just the bad moment at that time. So I think an outstanding tech is a great person with great balance, great values, and a burning desire to be the best they can be and kind of grow that in other people as well.
Well said, Kevin. Thank you. Wayne.
It's hard to go after Kevin, what he said. That was awesome, Kev.
Sorry to steal everything. I think my dad built that into me.
What you said is dead on, and I think a young man needs to learn how to be humble early in life. I think you'll get that later on, but you should start out trying to be humble. Don't try to be the butthead in the shop and know you're going to fail. Mm-hmm. Learn from all your failures and how to do something better next time or what I could have, changed about it, and be truthful straight up, especially with your management, the service writer and stuff like that. And if something's beyond your skill level, just don't don't fake it. Just if you have to pass on it, pass on it. But
yeah,
it's more important to be a good person than a greedy person. And I think that's what separates somebody trying to make a dollar than somebody whose ultimate goal is to be that most outstanding technician. He could go on to be a service writer or a shop owner, himself. So, I'll also second your get away and disconnect. I went from bowling to golf, and now it's all about fishing. But you got to have something different to do once in a while, and enjoy what you do, and like it, and fix cars because you want to, not because you have to.
Yeah, amen.
You did good. Thank you, Wayne. Wow, 2 real hammers here at the end. Matt, no pressure. Now let me just, there's been so many comments, but I'm catching the last couple. From Wade Maines, mentor in skill sets outside of automotive repair. Now, that's great advice. And also, Shari Pheasant says, so she's assigning this to her shop to watch at lunchtime. Now, what's really cool is, of course, this video will live in Facebook. Just click save the video, and then, and play it. And of course, the video will be repurposed next Wednesday, so you can watch it on my YouTube channel anytime. Thanks for being here. I'm going to give you the last word, Matt, but I'm going to say thank you to everyone. Kevin Eckler from Foreign Car Specialists, Poughkeepsie, New York, temporarily in Orlando. Wayne Bishop, PTS instructor, Standard Motor Products, and hitting cleanup for us right now. Matt Fanslow, shop manager, diagnostician, and trainer from Riverside Automotive, Red Wing, Minnesota. Matt, you have the last word.
Just one word? That was 3. One thing to elaborate on the mentorship thing is one bad thing about mentor is it's a singular word, but I think it's hard to find one particular individual that you can pattern everything after. You find multiple people with different aspects of their personalities or skill sets that you want to, mimic or, one thing I wanted to mention was something Wayne mentioned earlier is, as technicians, we're on a moving walkway. But we're not going in the same direction as the walkway. We're going, upstream. And the issue is you have to keep training to just maintain, to stay current. And then the rest of all these keywords that we're throwing around are what keep you working up that, against that moving walkway and moving further ahead. So we didn't mention proactivity, but as technicians, you need to be proactive about getting your training. And it may come out of your own pocketbook for a while, but it's worth every bit of it.
Yep.
Thank you. Outstanding performance. What separates outstanding technicians? Town Hall Academy. Labor Day weekend, USA 2018. Enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Be good.
Thank you, Carm.
Talk soon.
Carm, thank you. Thanks again for all you do, brother. You're a good guy.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.